specialist here. Happy Sunday to you. Today is Sunday, and you don't usually see me live streaming on Sunday, but I wanted to come to you straight today and make sure that you know that Black Friday specials are here, and they're going to be running out very soon. I also wanted to talk about the 8 specific attachment styles. Did you know there are 8? Most people think about 4, and that's because the field hasn't been updated in a very long time. You might know, if you've been watching my material for the last, 4 years at least, that I've been updating the field of attachment theory into attachment science. And as we've done that, we've had to update all of the attachment styles to capture the fullness of the human experience, especially because when the theory was crafted back in the 1950s, not as many people had attachment issues, and they were smaller issues back then. So they were much more uniform and it was easy to map out. What we've found is as the issues have spread through culture and society, now so that 65% of adults in the West have attachment issues, we're finding a lot more variance and a lot more people are having different experiences. It's also possible those people were there before but invisible. That includes the quiet, disorganized attachment subtype. We will talk about that here today. If you have been wondering about disorganized attachment in particular, today's show will be very interesting for you. I just want to make sure, of course, that Black Friday is here. If you've been looking to coach with me and my team, if you've been wanting to work on courses, but maybe the money wasn't quite there, if you've just wanted to come in and get a full assessment of your entire skill set and where you're falling short on communication, self-regulation, and building secure attachment, and you want an exact structured plan with my team to be able to do that, adamlanesmith.com/Black Friday. Right down here at the very bottom, that is your hub right now. I do not want you to miss the sales there. Up to 30% off coaching and up to 60% off all of my courses, plus up to 5 free gifts when you bundle them. Do not miss that. Okay. Now, today, if you have been stuck in attachment patterns, if you've been stuck in repeating relationship cycles, either dating the same person with different faces over and over and over, or you've been stuck in a very unhappy relationship for a very long time and you just don't see a way out, I'm going to show you today why that's happening, okay? Now, most of you might know about attachment styles, but I'm not sure how many of you know about the 8 attachment subtypes. You will fit one of these. Every person on the planet has an attachment style. One of these is you. Okay, we're going to go through these attachment styles together right now. Pop in. Let me know. Say hi when you guys pop in. I love to hear from you guys. I don't know what you might be doing on a Sunday. What is it? Black Friday, Black Saturday, and here's Black Sunday. We're here together, okay? Again, make sure you don't miss Black Friday specials before they're gone. Attachment type number 1. Let's talk about anxious attachment first. Anxious attachment style is interesting because a lot of people online view it as, oh, teehee, I'm very shy, and isn't that funny? Oh, well, people should take care of my emotions, right? It's viewed as cute. It's viewed as just a little bit maybe sad and a little bit low self-esteem. There are certainly those types of individuals in the anxious attachment community, okay? I've had to split this in 2. I had to split an anxious attachment style in half, actually less than in half. The majority of anxiously attached people fit into what we call nurturing anxious, okay? Nurturing anxious is very low self-esteem. When they were small, a child, they were in the crib, they would cry and cry and cry and learned people don't always pick me up, but sometimes they do. And the mechanism might be how good I make them feel. It might also be my fault that they don't care about me because I'm doing wrong things. Something is off and wrong about me deep down on the inside that everyone else can see, but I don't know what it is. I don't deserve love. So I have to make people feel good in whatever way I can. They are hyper vigilant around other people's moods and feelings, and they try to caretake everyone around them. If you need me, then you can't leave me. They are terrified of abandonment, and the prefrontal cortex, the center of the brain responsible for judgment and self-regulation, underdeveloped because they learn I can never control how I feel. I will always feel unsafe unless someone is here making me feel safe. This is why they tend to look for people who give them oversaturated love and affection, what we call love bombing. That's the only signal that they feel loved and cared for, and it releases GABA into their brain to then suppress cortisol and make them feel safe. It also releases a trickle of dopamine, which creates intermittent reinforcement gambling addiction, which is why anxiously attached people never really give up. They are always saying, what can I do to make you love me more, right? And they are hypervigilant around being abandoned. Now, nurturing anxious, they stay within the realm of empathy. They are deeply empathetic, deeply caring, deeply kind, deeply nurturing toward other people. They give and give and give. And yes, they hope to receive some in return. But if they don't get it, they don't really become too resentful, right? They never really think I deserve anything. Now, they might someday have children and be a bit resentful of the partner for not caring for the children. But for themselves, they never really reach that place. And they always give other people excuses. This is the group most likely to mother someone, most likely to overperform, overgive. A lot of times they'll drive themselves into autoimmune disorders, into cancer, heart attack, stroke, diabetes from stress, especially stress-induced insulin resistance, all kinds of issues. But they do it with a smile. They do it caring for everyone else. They never really complain. No one else really hears them say a negative word. Again, these are some of the sweetest people on the planet. Okay. Nurturing anxious. You can see, as good of people as they are, how devastating this is for them. This is brutal to live this way because you feel totally unloved, totally unlovable, and you have to live a life of endless martyrdom and service to others because that's all you're good for. That's nurturing anxious, and you're still petrified of being abandoned every day. More likely to get picked up by somebody who is harmful and exploitative and hurt you. You're more likely to have a partner who actually doesn't appreciate you. Arkin, good to see you in here. And Michael Dyer, good to see you as well. Restoring my heart and love towards my wife. I love to hear that. I love love, and I love helping couples stay in love or rebuild love. My favorite things is when couples come in and say, Adam, we are already talking about divorce, but you're our last shot. And they end coaching with me and they're saying, Adam, we've never been so in love. Thank you for helping us rescue our marriage. I love it even more when they send me a picture later of them in a renewal of the vows in front of a priest, like making it right again. I love those pictures. So I hear you, Michael. Get in there and win together. Okay. You'll never win separately. You got to win together. That's nurturing anxious, you guys. Now, why did I split anxious in half? Because there is another group. There's another group of anxious that aren't so self-giving. There's another group of anxious that turn down a lot of their empathy. There's another group of anxious who are used to getting hurt and they overperform and give, but they keep an endless record of what they've done to overperform and give. And they have a list of expectations they want back in return. I don't deserve love, but I have earned it through points, and you need to cash me out. And I'm angry and resentful that you haven't. They might have had parents who were more hurtful and neglectful as children. They could just have stronger personalities. Some personalities are just stronger, frankly, than others, more aggressive, dominant. Sometimes genetics play a role, but they're more angry, almost contemptuous. I call this group toxic anxious because the resentment combined with the self-hatred is toxic to them on the inside. It eats them alive. This really drives their cancer risks up through the roof. And they're likely to have autoimmune disorders or cancer or pain disorders and then say, you gave me this. They overperform for others without being asked, even being asked to stop, and they keep doing it and then say, look what you did to me. Getting a medical issue almost to them is a badge of honor. And it's almost a relief, because now they get to say, look at the proof of my service to you. Now you really owe me. The toxic anxious group is the one most likely to have what we call nice guy syndrome. Nice guy syndrome, right? Where people are afraid of nice guys because they know that bill is coming due, right? Not the anxiously attached, nurturing nice guys, but the ones who flip, right? The ones who flip into anger and control and bitterness and resentful mode. Ladies, you know the guys I'm talking about. You know them very well. It's why your nervous system sparks out of control when you're around anxiously attached men, because you can't tell which group they're going to be, right? Women can also have toxic anxious, by the way. This is one of the hardest groups when they come into me and a couple is there and they've been together for 20 years and the wife has toxic anxious attachment style and she is steeped in bitterness and rage and has a list of things that he owes her now. And he has a list of needs he has too, and he's not as angry and bitter, but she is saturated with it. She is the complete victim, the complete martyr. Everything is a story about how she has suffered for his sake, and now he owes her for the rest of his life. And he doesn't deserve to have needs, and he doesn't even deserve basic human respect. Those are some of the hardest stories for me to work through with a couple. Okay. One of the hardest patterns is that dynamic right there. We'll talk about the most difficult husbands to work on in a moment. But when a wife has that pattern, it's not unfixable, but it makes it so difficult that she often refuses to do the work necessary to repair the relationship. That's anxious attachment, you guys. Now, chat, let me know. Say like a yes if you've seen a toxic, anxious person before in your life. Let me know. Have you met someone like this? This could have been your mother, your grandmother, your aunt. It could have been your best friend. It could have been your last boyfriend, right? It could have been whoever it was. Give me a yes if you've seen someone with toxic, anxious before. This is a brutal one. Okay. Nurturing anxious is brutal to the person. And when they pass away, everyone at their funeral says, man, I just felt so sorry for them. They never really got a chance to be themselves. They were so kind, but I don't know. They never really seemed so happy. Right. Toxic anxious, people say, man, I don't want to be around that person. They can't even receive love or care from the toxic anxious person over time because they know that anger and bitterness and resentment is coming for them. Yes, people are saying, yes, got it. Okay. Could be close. I see it. This is one of the most destructive patterns within the attachment clusters. Okay. When I talk against anxious attachment, it's toxic anxious that I'm usually talking against. Nurturing anxious is not usually the problem for others around them, although you do deny other people the ability to bond with you. Okay. That's anxious attachment style. There's a specific pathway of fixing that and repairing that so that you become securely attached. We'll talk about that in a bit. But remember, if that's been you, down here at the bottom, adamlanesmith.com/black-friday, me and my team are ready with coaching to accelerate you through changing that. Or if you're in a couple or individual, we can help you with an assessment to show you exactly what's happening and why, and the skills you need to break free and the experiences you need to reprogram away from that. If you're just looking for a self-paced video course to begin learning on this, the attachment style decoder course is one of many courses in there that I would highly recommend. And it's on very special offer, up to 60% off right now for Black Friday. Please do not miss that. Okay. Pick up your free gifts while you're in there. Now, that's anxious attachment style. A talk about attachment styles would not be complete without the other side, avoidant attachment style. Now, when I appeared on the scene talking about attachment here on social media years ago, very few people talked about attachment at all. And if they did, it was mostly to baby the anxious people because they were the ones trying to actually learn about attachment, number one, by the way. So you baby the people who are coming to you and help them feel loved and cared for. And then you demonize the people who have hurt and scared them, which at that time was avoidantly attached people. Okay, avoidantly attached people. Now, one of the few people in the world who's talked positively about avoidantly attached people is Esther Perel. I had the pleasure of meeting her not too long ago and talking about attachment and relationships. She's a fantastic human being, by the way, in person. But when I arrived on the scene years back talking about this, very few people would even give avoidantly attached people the time of day. It was demonized, 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 demonized. And of course, no wonder avoidant people didn't want to go in for psychology because they were just sitting there being beaten on all day long. I started talking about the positive aspects of one style of avoidant attachment, okay? And then the negative style as well, and differentiating, just like with anxious, differentiating between ethical avoidant and manipulative avoidant. We're going to go through both. Ethical avoidant people, as they grow up, their brains don't, and their systems don't receive the bonding hormone oxytocin. They're actually conditioned to stay away from other people, not share emotions, not ask questions, not relate, not bond. And so their oxytocin receptors, the thing that says, I belong, I'm safe, I'm yours, you're mine, those receptors actually close. They don't just go dormant, they close because of constant ongoing cortisol. So they never really understand what it feels like to go inside and have a loving, intimate experience with someone. They don't understand what human relationships are for. So it feels like a series of endless transactions and dopamine binges to them. That's one of the biggest problems. Okay. If you've ever wondered why avoidant people don't lean into relationships, it's because they don't know what leaning in would mean. They understand the risks and the vulnerability and the hurt, but they don't have any of the positive. So imagine that you go to the grocery store and there's a big empty jar that says love, and you look inside and it's empty. And someone's charging $500 for it, for an empty jar. There's a gigantic price tag and it's visibly empty to you. That's an avoidantly attached person being told, you should totally get in a committed relationship. They're great. You should be vulnerable. You should open up. You should be intimate. You should share your feelings. In fact, that's even harder for them because their prefrontal cortex in the anxious person underdevelops, and in the avoidant person it overdevelops because they're going to feel chronic mental, emotional, and physical pain almost every day of their life. So it overdevelops to squash that pain and dissociate from any feelings they have, negative or positive. So they have a hard time even feeling their feelings. If you've ever seen an avoidant person try to tell you how they feel about something, they run to the intellectual side. They intellectualize as hard as possible. Everything becomes a philosophy discussion to them rather than a personal experience, right? You've seen this. Avoidantly attached people who are ethically driven have intense moral ethical code. On the inside, their brain says everyone else is not to be trusted. Not because other people are evil, but because other people get so stressed out they lose control of themselves. I alone have discipline and control. Not perfect. Not perfect. They're not narcissists. Not perfect, but I alone somehow can discipline myself better than others. And thank goodness, because that's the only thing that will keep me alive. They say things like, no one's coming to save me. No one's going to care for me. No one has got this except me. I am my only person I can rely on, right? And that's what their brain says. So it closes those bonding receptors. Now they'll flood with oxytocin, they'll flood with cortisol, block oxytocin, and all they have left is dopamine. If you've ever seen them, this is what they do. Novelty dopamine falls off a cliff 5 to 7 months in, and then the relationship feels dead. But they usually will continue because they said, well, I guess I gave my word. This is as good as it's going to get. They sometimes will get married and even have kids, but no more pleasure, no more joy. Okay. Ethically avoidant people focus on their ethics. This doesn't mean they are always perfectly ethical, but they focus on their ethics and try never to hurt somebody else. If they do have an affair, they usually don't understand what that actually means to the other person and how devastating it is. They feel like they gave you cortisol by inconveniencing you and that you'll be bothered for a week or two and then you'll forget about it because you don't care. That's their experience, unfortunately. Okay, now manipulative avoidant, as you go down that spectrum of avoidant tendencies, manipulative avoidant has contempt for others. Manipulative avoidant has contempt for other people. Other people are evil. Other people are hurtful and damaging. Other people will do anything they can to get one over on me, so I can do whatever it takes to stay safe from them. This is not the same off the end of the scale as personality disorders, antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. Other people are scum and it doesn't matter what I do to them. I have zero empathy for them. These people, manipulative avoidant, are still on this spectrum without personality disorder. They still do have empathy, except when they get stressed and activated. Then that turns off to protect them. But in the meantime, they do have empathy and they do care for other human beings and bond to them. It's just that when they get stressed and activated, all bets are off. Passive-aggressive comments, wounding sarcasm, manipulation tactics, sometimes gaslighting, not usually just cold, brutal exploitation. Again, that's off the end of the spectrum in a personality disorder. But with manipulative avoidant, one of the hardest patterns to fix in husbands. I had talked about toxic anxious being one of the hardest patterns in wives. Manipulative avoidant being one of the hardest patterns in husbands. I know everything there is. No therapist or coach is going to tell me what I think about a relationship. My partner's an idiot and I barely tolerate them. They don't even give me what I want. Stupid jerk. They take everything from me. They almost view their partner as like a bad goat that lives with them, right? You're always making messes everywhere in my house and I would kill you if it would benefit me. I wish I could just kick you outside and you could starve to death. Maybe not kill you, but I just kick you outside at some point, and they often do. It's when they leave them in midlife. But again, they try. They're not personality disordered, but when they get activated, they almost look like they have a personality disorder in those moments. Okay, manipulative avoidant. Their kids tend to never speak to them again once they move out, unless that person dangles money over the kids' head and says, if you want money and help living, you'd better call me. That's usually the only reason the kids call, is because dad is dangling cash in front of them. Their college pay, their tuition, their car, whatever he might have, he uses money to hook that in. Okay, that's manipulative avoidant. Like off the end of the spectrum of anxious, by the way, there's a number: dependent personality disorder, okay, is one. Histrionic personality disorder, usually off the end of the anxious attachment spectrum. Personality disorders abound. Okay. Those are the extreme versions of attachment that have taken over the person's system and they no longer really have lucid moments where they challenge those thoughts or say, is this appropriate? Am I doing good? Am I actually being an ethical person? This doesn't feel right. Maybe I should rein that in. Maybe I should apologize. They don't have those moments anymore. Pure, raw survival state. Okay. That's personality disorder. And again, not to demonize those people, deeply wounded, traumatized, and I still believe they can come back. I've worked with some of the most extensive personality disorders on the planet, still can come back, but it takes extreme work because they're so wounded, typically. To anybody out there who's been diagnosed with a personality disorder, if you actually might believe it, you probably don't have a personality disorder. People with personality disorders usually only get diagnosed by court order and then refuse to acknowledge it. They're not usually ones to go look for what's wrong with me and why am I not relating to others. Just remember that the field of therapy doesn't really talk about attachment styles or attachment at all because most therapists don't know about it. So if you go in with most attachment issues, they might just diagnose you with a full personality disorder. There's a lot of people walking around with what's called quiet borderline personality disorder, which really is disorganized attachment style. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Okay. If you've been diagnosed with quiet BPD, it's almost certain that you probably instead have disorganized attachment style, probably loud disorganized attachment style. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Okay. We'll be very, very clear. Let me know in chat, guys. Give me a yes if you have ever seen a manipulative avoidant person in your life. Could have been your father, could have been your grandfather, could have been your last wife or your last husband or your last girlfriend, right? Manipulative avoidant. They stay cold and distant from others. They use hurtful tactics, right, to manipulate and control people. They still are a person on the inside. I don't want to demonize, but when they get activated, that goes away. What's the best course for someone with quiet avoidant attachment style? I already have the boot camp. 500 IQ, 6'8". That's quite a name. Nice advertising. The best course for someone with quiet disorganized attachment, I would recommend two. I would recommend two courses. One is the attachment style decoder course. The attachment style decoder course, right down here, adamlanesmith.com/black-friday. The attachment style decoder course will walk you through the exact neurobiochemical process of getting an attachment issue, deepening it across your lifespan, and then breaking it. It is pure neuroscience driven. It's one of the best things I have ever created. One of the best resources for attachment, hands down, period. Okay. It's in there in that bundle system. I would pick that one up, number one. Number two, we'll talk about quiet disorganized in a moment, but the biggest problem for them is what they don't know as far as how relationships are supposed to operate. So the second thing I would pick up is how to build a secure marriage. I would grab the How to Build a Secure Marriage video course specifically because it lays out the exact definitive one blueprint for building a successful romantic relationship. If you didn't learn that growing up, and most quiet disorganized people don't have a blueprint for any relationship, that will show you exactly what a relationship is supposed to be. That will help. That will help a lot. Okay. Now, if you want to take it a step further and do an attachment assessment with me and my team of certified coaches, I highly recommend grabbing an assessment right now while they're on super special as well for Black Friday. We'll go through your complete pattern. We'll find the things you don't know for you. We'll find the skill gaps that you have, and then we'll show you the experiences you need to have to build secure attachment and come back to where you want to be, to build the relationships you've always looked for, that you probably actually don't even know you can build. We'll show you that too. So I would recommend those three resources right now, all of them for a very limited amount of time. Black Friday is almost over, right there at that website down there, right down here, guys. Okay. Now, okay, some of you are seeing manipulative avoidant people in your life. Many. Okay, she only attacks me. That's because you probably have resources she wants, or she feels out of control because you have some control. When they start to lose control, it seems to enrage them because they are so terrified. It is fear-based still. Okay, ex-husband, my dad, ex was worse. See, dad, ex-husband. This is how attachment patterns work. Is I learned to stay safe and please my father. That's the only skill set I have for men. Hey, look, someone who has the same approach, I know what to do here. You'll attract him, he'll attract you. You guys will link up together and get married, and it will be living hell. That's exactly what tends to happen, unfortunately. Do I need to understand what my attachment style is before trying to heal? You need to understand where you're starting so that you know what skills are missing, Archeon. You do need to understand what skills are missing. I do not recommend sitting on a therapy couch for 6 years talking about childhood, about sadness, trauma, rehashing, experiences with mom from breastfeeding onward. I don't recommend that. That's not really helpful. What things formed me? What beliefs do I hold about myself and relationships? What skills, therefore, are missing? And how do I break these patterns going forward from now on? My team does that in a assessment very quickly, and then we start rolling immediately into future-oriented coaching, not past-oriented therapy. So her anxiety is extreme. Yes, the anxious attachment style, it's almost a bit of a misnomer because all of the attachment styles have anxiety issues. It's just that the anxious attachment style is anxious about being abandoned. The avoidant, when conflict hits, they get anxious and they start fawning, people pleasing. Okay, when the avoidant person goes into conflict, they start fleeing, they avoid. If they can't, then they fight a bit enough to get away, typically, or seize control. That's the process. When you see manipulative avoidant, think control. When you see toxic anxious, think control, but from underneath. Control from above, control from underneath. That's what they specialize in, okay? You can't get away from me now because I own you. That's the thinking for toxic, anxious, and manipulative avoidant. Okay, let's go into disorganized attachment style because so many people in my audience have disorganized. And they ask, is it possible to have anxious tendencies and avoidant tendencies at the same time? Absolutely, yes, it is. Disorganized people, give me a shout out in chat. Just type a disorganized or a me or something like that. Let me know that you're here. I love, love, love being able to give you this message because most of you have been ignored for the entire history of, well, psychology, actually. Drop me a me in chat if this is you, okay? Disorganized attachment style. 2 different flavors, right? Again, I've had to update the theory because people before just called it fearful avoidant or disorganized, meaning cannot be neatly organized into simply anxious or avoidant, so it seems therefore to be a blend. Okay, fearful avoidant was closer, but then it was confusing because you had dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant. Neither one really seemed to work. I'm here today to tell you that there's loud disorganized and quiet disorganized. Loud disorganized is as explosive and chaotic and expressive as you can imagine. Okay, nothing that I'm about to say is meant to dehumanize these people or demonize them, insult them, or anything. I'm going to state what I observe and what they themselves have told me over the course of working with thousands of these individuals, okay, over the last, it's a lot, 15, 20 years, a lot of years now, okay? There's a lot. Okay, a lot of people disorganized people in the house. Extra here, 500, I got you. Moi, quiet, me, QD, love it. Thank you for this content that you're freely giving out. We said, yeah, I hear that, Mary. Okay, disorganized, loud disorganized first. The story I tell about loud disorganized is this. They find a lot of soulmates, okay? They get swept off their feet with passion quite often. They are the most passionate, loving, engaged human beings on the planet. And when I say engaged, I mean giving you their presence, but also getting engaged as often as possible. They're more likely to find someone and sweep them off their feet and say, I love you. Let's go live together in a cabin in the woods so no one can ever bother us again. And we'll simply live on love. And they go to the cabin. And the moment they cross the threshold, they say, oh no, I'm trapped in here with you. I'm going to screw it up, or you're going to screw it up, and then life will be over. So then they set you down and they kick over a gas canister, toss a match, and say, oh no, who started this mysterious gasoline fire? I'll get help. And they leap out the window and run into the woods. But about halfway away, they say, oh no, now I'm lonely. What have I done? I can't live on my own, and I miss them. What was I thinking? So they run back, kick in the door, and say, I'm here to rescue you. And they sweep you off your feet and run into the woods and say, okay, we will find a new cabin to live in together, and we will live there forever, right? And it's this cycle over and over and over. And when I tell that story, most people with loud disorganized say, that's me, right? It clicks. The loud, disorganized attachment style, again, is the most passionate. You can see by the way I'm telling this story, this is how loud, disorganized people emote and express and feel. They are very passionate, outward people, often very extroverted. Now, when I said they tend to find a new soulmate every 60 days, well, no, let's say every 6 months. Let's be generous. Because every 60 to 90 days, when they get into a relationship, they are wild and passionate and loving and fulfilling. There's research that says that men prefer sex with women who are emotionally, mentally unstable. It's often because those women have disorganized attachment style and pour everything in. They have all of the anxious, pleasing tendencies of craving oxytocin to flood with oxytocin and crave your approval and do anything you want, then all of the dopamine binging cycle of avoidance to push in and love bomb you at the same time. So they are the ultimate performative partner, without necessarily being fake, that sweep into your life like a whirlwind and flood you with emotions. And they don't mean to manipulate you. They really are swept away by their own feelings. It's overwhelmingly intense. But about 60 to 90 days, 2 to 3 months in, as people settle in, you start to say, this is amazing. What are you thinking about our future? What are you thinking about engagement or marriage? What are you thinking about a family? What do you think about moving in together? Now the fear starts. Now the loud disorganized learned that their caregiver was the one person who could take care of them and protect them, but was also the one person most likely to hurt them. Okay? So they have a simultaneous approach and escape signal going on in their brain. Go close to you and run away from you. And the more intense the emotions and perceived expectations become, the more their nervous system amps up into panic territory. So as this happens, their brain begins to find reasons they shouldn't be with you. You wear green socks. You really prefer Tuesdays, and they prefer Thursdays. It's never going to work. You really enjoy Mexican food, and that one time 5 years ago they had a bad experience in a Mexican restaurant. I just don't think I can do that for the rest of my life. They find the most inane reasons to justify splitting up because they are so terrified, number one, that you will somehow turn on them, betray them, and engulf them, and then they'll be controlled by you, like their caregiver did, or that if you're perfect, they will screw up because you'll see how unlovable and worthless they really are when they stop performing. And then they'll be abandoned and rejected, and that would devastate them. So they destroy the relationship. This is the group most likely to cheat, actually, right? They're the group most likely to break up with you multiple times and then come back and break up, come back and break up. I think the record I had for one client breaking up with another client in a couple was 273 breakups in 2 years. 273 breakups in 2 years, okay? This was the loud, disorganized approach, okay? Unfortunately, very common. Now, I also want to say entirely reprogrammable. This is a program that's been built in. It's a trauma cycle in the brain, but it's an attachment pattern they're playing out. You can break loud disorganized. As I'm describing it, you absolutely can, okay? Loud disorganized, cool. Quiet disorganized. Let's talk about this because a number of you said quiet disorganized, and these people were entirely invisible for the history of psychology. I had to really pull this one out and create a new group that no one had really classified or talked about before. And here's why. Quiet disorganized. When they were young, they grew up in a household where the only survival adaptation they had was not to run away because whoever was hurting them chased them. It wasn't to fight because whoever was hurting them was bigger, louder, and stronger and squashed that out of them. It was to be invisible, to simply not exist, to erase their own existence. Number one, through acts of service. Number two, through withdrawing and just hiding so no one even remembered they were there. And number three, if all else failed, to simply freeze and shut down, do nothing, say nothing, feel nothing, be nothing. Quiet disorganized is the art of completely erasing yourself. They grow up in systems that are chaotic, scary, tense, and damaging. It may or may not be explicit abuse, but if your parents had extensive trauma, and usually at least one with a personality disorder, guess what? You learned you are only safe when you don't exist. Quiet, disorganized attachment style, they don't usually seek out and build relationships. They get adopted into relationships and informed that they now have a boyfriend or girlfriend, and then informed that they are going to be getting married, and now they have a husband or wife, and they simply say, okay. They're more likely to be picked up by very chaotic, loud, disorganized, or personality disordered individuals and have somebody like that in their life, or manipulative or toxic, anxious, hurtful people. They're more likely to be picked up by that. And they just say, okay, it's just what life is. They're the most likely to come to me, usually late in life, 55, 65, 75, and then say, Adam, it's possible that I don't have needs. Do you think I do? I don't know what needs are. What would a need be? They're the most likely to be completely confused about how relationships work because their early relationships were so extreme. They didn't actually teach them any metrics whatsoever for healthy, normal relationships. So when they get out into the world, they hyper-perform. They're incredibly good usually in business and finance areas. They usually go into like insurance adjusting, financials, real estate, things like that, where they can perform and please other people and do a service for people, especially like high financial people. They're less likely to integrate financially with a partner during a marriage. They're more likely to have their own money, typically, unless their partner makes them. And they're more likely often to get married for an extended amount of time and never actually have an emotional connection whatsoever with their partner and not even know that they could. Okay, very, very likely. Also, some of the most likely to forgive an affair, interestingly, quite often, because they're just used to people falling short on them. That's just what people do. So, quiet, disorganized people, typically what they need to do is learn everything completely from scratch. What do people want from me? Am I allowed to ask questions? How do I show interest to good people? How do I show disinterest to not very healthy people? What is a boundary? Is it okay to have a boundary? What do I do if people get mad when I have a boundary? What are my needs? Is it okay to have needs? Why do I have needs? Right? Why do I have this crippling autoimmune disorder that has haunted me my entire life? Right? And how is it related to my chronic stress level? They usually have pretty brutal medical challenges they're experiencing because of the constant chronic daily stress that they've endured their entire life. If I can catch them around 35 to 45, sometimes we can turn the tide on some of those medical issues by decreasing their daily cortisol and chronic stress levels. But sometimes that medical boat has somewhat sailed by 65 to 75 when those women come to me. There are men and women with quiet disorganized as well. Okay. Quiet disorganized sounds like a hostage to an arranged marriage. Many of them live their entire lives like hostages. One thing I have to do with them is teach them what we call the sociopath protocol. My brain says every human being I interact with is probably a sociopath. And I don't say that because everyone is evil or I hate them. I mean that they are incapable of loving me. They are incapable of self discipline. They are incapable of kindness. They will not think of me. They won't care about me. And if I'm visible, they will probably hurt me. Now, I don't think people are evil. I just think this is the way things are. So I erase myself completely and I simply please other people. Now, what's really awful is two things. One, selective mutism. When they go silent, it's actually Broca's area on the left side of the brain, the language center shutting down along with most of their logical functioning to go into a dorsal vagal shutdown as their system closes down and says, okay, I can't stop the damage. You're going to be mad at me. I will simply close down and wait for the damage to be done. They go selectively mute and they can't even speak. Even if they want to, they can't speak during conflicts and interactions most often. Not all the time, but a lot of times they can't. Or it's very, very difficult. That's number one. And number two, their face. When they panic, they don't go, they go, and their face shuts down. It's called a flat affect. And they look disinterested. And this is terrible because good, loving, healthy people who know them quite often try to get close to them. And the quite disorganized person's brain, everything shuts down because they don't know how to process kindness and connection. It actually treats it like intrusion and attack. So they close down completely and go flat and look rude, disinterested, arrogant, and they get misinterpreted by everyone around them for decades. Often, their adult children in their 20s and 30s still believe that their parent, their quiet disorganized parent, didn't really want them or like them growing up. Because the quiet disorganized parent tells me I didn't want to bother them with my love and affection. I didn't want to smother them. I didn't want to inconvenience them by making them feel my feelings. So part of the work is usually helping them go to their adult children and say, have I ever looked disinterested? Did you ever feel like I didn't like you or didn't want to be around you? If so, I need to tell you that I've always cared about you. I just didn't know how to show it, and I didn't want to bother you. How much do you want to interact with me? How much is okay? How much can I call you? How much can I text you? I think about you all day, every day, and I don't want to bother you. It's one of the saddest things in the world. Okay. I have a lot of these clients on my coaching load right now. Okay. And a lot of my team works with this quiet disorganized attachment style. We're the only group in the world that classifies this group of people and works with them specifically on this. Nobody else is talking about quiet disorganized. Okay. How does quiet disorganized lead to only having relationships when picked? Typically, they are in such a freeze state. When they do have desire for somebody, if they do, they're usually in a constant, like, riding the edge of panic mode around other people anyway, which is not really conducive for developing desire and romantic interest in others. But if they do develop interest in others, then they typically don't want to bother others with their desire or their connection. So typically what happens is someone finds them, pokes a few times, realizes they don't have boundaries and they just freeze, and then sort of moves in and invites themselves in, has a bunch of great conversations, tells them we should be together. And they say, oh, okay. And then the person just pushes the relationship forward and they go along with it, typically. Not every time, but typically that's the pattern I tend to hear quite often. It's the old, do you have a girlfriend? No. Well, you do now, right? It's that approach. It's that approach quite often. It's to be adopted by an extrovert is quite often what happens. Now, everybody in chat, have you met a quiet disorganized person before? Maybe you are a quiet disorganized person. Give me a yes. Give me a yes if you've met a quiet disorganized or are quiet disorganized. Maybe you're just now realizing what was going on with them. Maybe you always wondered. Maybe your parent was quiet disorganized. Maybe you had a quiet disorganized mom, and you're just now going, wait a minute. I thought she didn't care about me, but wait a minute. Maybe she's this, right? That could be you. Now, I'd love to hear loud disorganized. Anybody out there, give me a yup in chat. If it's loud disorganized, a little better. Give me a yup in chat if you have met a loud disorganized or you are loud disorganized. Let me know, okay? All of these styles, everybody on the planet has an attachment style. I see some yeses in chat dropping now. Okay. BMO, BMOS, Cardino. I think my mother-in-law is. Okay. Okay. Quiet, disorganized mother-in-laws can be some of the best in the world, except that they will be so distant and aloof that it's very hard to connect with them. But if you can talk with them and build a connection, often they can become the most loving and loyal people on the planet. I'm thinking I'm quiet disorganized now. A lot of people come into my live streams when I talk about quiet disorganized and feel that, right? Again, this is not something that attachment theory has ever covered before, that psychology as a whole has ever covered before. There are some, interestingly, characters coming out in media now who can portray elements of quiet disorganized. And a lot of people are finding it quite charming. So they look for stories of excessively shy, frozen people who are incredibly empathetic, but look cold, distant, and aloof. And some of you know the media forms that I'm talking about. This is actually becoming not mainstream, but the idea of it. And I'm working up now this idea for the scientific angle of exactly what's happening with those individuals. Okay. And I can relate to the quiet disorganized, by test is highly secure. Dr. Lindsay, if I have to guess, it's because you are self-contained. You've probably done a lot of work, a lot of self-work. You probably try to regulate yourself as much as possible. And when you sit and take a test, you probably think about what would be the best choice to say and do in each circumstance. But here's the problem. When we take a test, we activate our logical left side brain, and our prefrontal cortex is online, our full frontal lobe, everything is processing logically on the left side. When we engage in an actual relationship, We use the emotional right side of our brain. The amygdala, the fear center, fires off. It hallucinates threats at up to 340% more often, which reroutes thinking away from the prefrontal cortex over to the limbic system. And that begins making your decisions for you. So a test versus reality is often split, especially for someone with quiet disorganized. They're more likely to say, well, logically, we should do this and this and this and this. And then the moment go and freeze. And that's the process. Does that make sense to everybody here? House office, good to see you in here. Welcome, by the way. Easy to confuse quiet, disorganized for avoidant. It is excessively easy, right? They look cold, distant, rude, selfish, aloof, right? They look like they just don't care about anyone but themselves. And on the inside, they are like fluttering with anxiety about making sure other people feel loved and cared for. But they also don't want to smother or overwhelm other people. Okay. This is the process. Yes, Dr. Lindsay. There you go. Click. I knew you got it. Click. There we go. There's the aha moment. Chat, give me an aha if you guys are having some aha moments from this talk here today. I want to make sure I'm resonating with you and giving you useful information here so far. What course would be best for quiet disorganized? Two courses and a resource, okay? Down here at the bottom, adamlanesmith.com/black-friday. When you click there, you're going to have two options. If you select what's called self-paced program, okay? Self-paced program, you're going to go in there. There's three things in there I want you to look at for quiet disorganized. First, the attachment style decoder course. This is an absolute no fluff, no nonsense neurobiochemical assessment in a course of exactly what happens with attachment. It is not, well, you have these feelings and you kind of think this is what your brain's doing, your biology, your hormones. Here's how it forms. Here's the neural pathways. Here's how we see it on brain scans. This is your attachment style forming. This is what it's doing today. This is the metric that you need to be tracking in your relationships for how secure you are yet and how secure you become. Here's how to make an interrupt in that pattern and then permanently go forward and build secure attachment. Inside the attachment style decoder course, I highly recommend you pick that up and go through it first. Second, quiet, disorganized people don't know almost anything at all about relationships because the experiences they grew up in were so extreme they don't map onto most relationships you'll ever have, and you don't know what people want from you or what you're allowed to ask for or how to build a relationship at all. This shows up most in romantic relationships. I highly recommend, therefore, that you pick up the How to Build a Secure Marriage video course. How to Build a Secure Marriage shows you the exact blueprint for how to build a romantic relationship that stands the test of time. True, fulfilling monogamy. It is the one proper pathway for doing that. It will show you what to expect and, more importantly, what not to tolerate. Okay? If you have kids, optionally, the Secure Parenting course from Chaos to Calm is in there. Highly recommend for anyone here who has children. It's a combination between me and Lisa Chan, the occupational therapist who specializes especially with children, nervous systems, and secure attachment. Do not miss the Secure Parenting course. Now, I told you three resources in there. One, decoder style, the attachment style decoder course. Two, how to build a secure marriage. Optional third would be the parenting course. But the real third I'm looking at is the assessment. Me and my team of coaches come in first for 80 minutes. One of us will be there, whoever you pick. They will come in and assess you, deep dive your entire personal experience, your romantic experience, your patterns that you're following, the skill gaps that you're missing, what you don't know, and then the experiences you would have to correct course and become securely attached and how long that's going to take. In the second meeting, in 30 minutes, we map all of that out for you so you have an exact roadmap to follow. Whether you choose to work with us in the future or not, you have an exact roadmap laid out for what to do to become securely attached. That's the assessment. Okay, if you scroll to the bottom of that list, you're going to see assessments, bundles in there, everything for individuals and couples, by the way. Then you can choose to work with us in coaching if you wish, right? We will be here to accelerate your process and train you one-on-one. Actually, some of my favorite clients have been anxiously attached. I can't say their names here, but some of you are watching right now and you know who you are. Much love. Watching a quiet, disorganized person transform. Did I say quiet, disorganized? That's what I meant. Watching a quiet, disorganized person transform through personal coaching. It is like watching somebody come back to life when they thought it was impossible. It is almost a miracle for them. watching them finally experience joy, real joy for the first time in their life, watching them learn about what their needs are and what it's okay to ask for, watching them go out and ask friends, what do you want from me? How can I be a friend to you? How can I stop worrying on a relationship and just do what I need to do? What do you actually expect from me so I don't have to be afraid anymore? And then they come back and they gush about how incredible it feels to finally not be afraid anymore. And then the aha moments they have where they say, Adam, I realized it's okay for me to ask for things because that shows the other person that I trust them. Yes, absolutely. That's what a secure person wants from you. And they want to be able to ask you openly as well so that you take care of each other. And this concept of collaboration blows their mind, that two humans could even care about each other that much, that someone could care about them that much. It is a transformational experience, and it's one of my favorite things watching people have. Okay. Dr. Lindsay, I bought the marriage course. I'm single. Totally fine. It will set you up for dating and exactly what to look for in a partner going forward. So very good option. The love and avoidant. Good one too, especially if you tend to attract more avoidant men. The combination of those two will show you how to find ethically avoidant men who also are trending towards secure, who will have the relationship discussions with you. That's how you fit those two together, okay? The avoidant man course actually builds you a secure dating relationship, and then the secure marriage course takes it all the way to the end of your life. Think of it that way. So great combination. Love your stuff. Recommend you, my friends. Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. I appreciate that. If you have any questions during the process of the course, send us an email. There's multiple points in the course where we say, send us an email, send us an email. We put the information there. We are here to help. If anything goes sideways, it shouldn't. But if you have any questions, you're confused, how does this fit over here in this process? We're here to answer those too. I want to make sure you are taken care of. Can you be extroverted and avoidant? Absolutely. Absolutely. I see that quite often. Actually, it's a powerful combination. It is intensely charismatic. They tend to rise socially or financially or corporate world, right? They tend to start businesses or they become CEOs or high-level C-suite executives in their own right. You can absolutely be extroverted and be pretty much almost any of these attachment styles. I've even seen extroverted, quiet, disorganized who erase themselves while at the same time being intensely extroverted. It is a very strange combination. Not very common, but it exists. Quiet, disorganized seem to wake everyone up. Must be more than me in here. 100%. Again, as we're going, we've got a bunch of people on the stream. Give me a QD if you feel like you matched with quiet, disorganized attachment. Quiet, disorganized really hits for a lot of people, and me and my team are the only people discussing it. As we're building the Attachment Institute, we're going to take that message mainstream so more people can see it. Because most of these people, the reason they've been invisible is because they just suffer silently forever, never knowing that there's ever better in their life. They simply live in it because they don't think there's a better life to be lived. So they never complain. That's why they're invisible. Okay? I want to fix that so that no one has to erase themselves just to get by one more day. I don't ever want anyone to have that experience. Neither do my coaches. That's why we do this work. Okay, QD hits for me. There we go, Dr. Lindsay. Thank you. That is it. That is the game. Guys, those are the three main attachment styles. You're probably asking, what's 7 and 8, right? Attachment, insecurity. Secure attachment, I should say. When you are securely attached, you grew up with parents who let you ask a lot of questions. They were caring. They were, yes, authority, but authoritative. They worked with you. They were gentle. They were kind. They mentored you. They taught you to be a fully functioning adult by respecting your dignity as a human being and relating to you as if they actually liked you. Everything was to grow you, discipline you, train you, and nurture you. That's secure attachment. I have 5 children. It is exhausting to give secure attachment, but it's also the most rewarding thing on the planet. I love it. Even on the tired days where it's difficult. Even on the days where I want to say, kid, can you give me a break from the questions? I might say, kid, I'm going to be honest with you. I am really tired right now, and I love you so much, and your questions are awesome, and I don't want you to ever stop asking them, but I only probably have capacity to answer 2 more. Can you pick 2 questions for me? And then tomorrow you can ask me a bunch more, right? Working with them on capacity, gentle boundaries, nurturing like that. Even tired parenting can be secure, right? Secure attachment, great. Okay. Most of you will not have that. If you were, you're probably not sitting here on a live stream with me on Sunday learning about attachment issues. Remade secure is what we're looking for. Remade secure is the target for all of you, not to stay where you are. These are not your astrology signs. Okay. This is not a definitive diagnosis of who you will be for the rest of your life. And it's not to pathologize you. It's a constellation of behaviors and symptoms that you experience now. The target is to become remade secure, where we remap your neural pathways away from automatic knee-jerk reactions that harm you and your relationships, interrupting those patterns and reprogramming yourself to, at times, sure, feel nervous, but choose secure connection, build and maintain loving, safe boundaries that invite the best people in, and then build structured relationships with the kindest, most loving people who respect you in return. That's remade secure attachment. That's the target. I see a lot of QDs going on right now. I got it. You are very welcome to be here, and thank you for not being invisible. Okay? It truly is. Really happy you're building that support out. I could not do this without my incredible team, you guys. I'm on a mission to help 1 billion securely attached people, and I'm not going to reach 1 billion people by myself. So the institute that we are building right now, we're going to help 1 billion people at least. 1 billion is the starting goal, by the way. What's the best course for me? I'm loud, disorganized, toxic, married to an avoidant. I have 4 children. I'm glad at least that you're seeing the dynamic, okay? You're married to an avoidant, 4 children. Tell me first, is your partner open to, your spouse open to any work together? Would they watch courses together with you? Would they go through coaching with you? Are they open to doing anything, or are they more shut down and hostile and not interested in doing anything at all, right? Either way, you can begin the work. The research is fascinating. If a partner begins the good work themselves and sticks to it, 76% of the time, their other partner will eventually map out and do the same behaviors with them, usually within about 2 months, 76%. But tell me at the beginning, is your partner likely to work with you on some things, or are they actively hostile? I wish I'd know what it feels like to be securely attached from the get-go. Voodoo, you and me both. I grew up with insecure attachment myself. I've lived this. I fixed it alone without resources to do it, and that's why I do what I do now. There's an old saying that the best time to plant a tree if you want to sit in the shade was 20 years ago. The second best time is now, and the worst time is tomorrow. If you've gone decades with insecure attachment, the best time you can fix it is now. The worst time is tomorrow, especially because Black Friday prices are going to be running out very soon, and that investment cost is going to go way, way, way up. I'm trying to make this as accessible as possible to everybody. Okay, yes, we're hoping to heal together. I love this. Okay, when I have a couple that can do this together, you could see me get excited. I was a marriage and family therapist for many, many years, and I love helping marriages come back from the edge. Okay, there's a couple things I recommend. If you're wanting to get started and just dip your toe in the water right now, the How to Build a Secure Marriage video course and the attachment style decoder courses fitted together as a bundle would be incredible. If you have some resources handy, some surplus right now, picking up the How to Love an Avoidant Man video course would be an incredible way to get him fully engaged in this process so that he can connect with you. I think you'd said that was your avoidant husband. I think you'd said. Those 3 courses would be phenomenal. If you're wanting to take some time, dip your toes in, learn, and go at your own pace. If you, like many people, are feeling an urgency to fix your attachment now because your 4 kids are seeing it every day and it's mapping into their brains right now as you go. If you're wanting to fix it now, I would recommend jumping on that Black Friday special because 30% off coaching, including the attachment assessments as a couple, is also listed there. We can accelerate your process. What we typically see is you each come in, you each do your own assessment. Then we sit down from that skill mapping and the experiences mapping, fit them together, and then your first joint session together with one of our certified coaches, right, or myself, whomever you choose to work with. As you work together with us, we weave those pieces together and say, this is why neither one of you is bad. This is what we have to do. Here's the exact step-by-step process you're going to follow. Here are the scripts you're going to begin saying in conflicts and discussions. Here's how we're going to be bonding you through vasopressin and oxytocin together. We don't start with couples dates. By the way, that's oxytocin bonding. Complete failure of a program if somebody does that. If a therapist tells you to start going on couples dates as the beginning of couples therapy, I would recommend leaving at that point, because you're trying to oxytocin bond when you have a cortisol association against your partner, where your brain is negatively impacted and will actually reject oxytocin bonding. And the oxytocin bonding, if you get any, will make the cortisol association worse when it then activates and gets painful again. That's why most couples who go through couples therapy either flame out or get worse. Okay? Bad system. My system has a 99.8% success rate because we focus on vasopressin bonding first to fix and eliminate the cortisol association in a couple. This is why most couples, by about session 4 to 6, report that they are more in love than they've ever been, feel safer with each other. They use my CEO, COO model of marriage. The man is giving the 4 levels of safety. The woman is giving the 4 levels of peace, and they feel totally at home with each other. By session 4 to 6, they say, Adam, we're not fighting anymore. What else is there? I think we're good. We don't need you anymore. And I say, why are we stopping at the bare minimum? We aren't fighting. We aren't mad. We aren't out of control. We feel at home with each other. Okay. What about all the things you never learned how to build as a couple? What about all the optimization to grow? What about becoming a power couple together so that you're greater at work and friendship and parenting? How about becoming the ultimate partnership so that for the rest of your life, you grow a legacy that can last 1,000 years together? How about we spend the time doing that? And that's usually where their minds are blown and they say, that's possible? Yes, that is only possible through secure attachment. So let's get you secure attachment. So there you go. I hope that helps. You said, wow. Yes, that's it. So if you want to come in, do coaching with us, we are welcome. All right. You're very welcome. We would joyfully connect with you. If you want to dip your toe in and do some courses and some self-paced learning, right there. If you'd like to hop on a call with me and with my team first and see what your options are and go through it, see if your spouse is invested in it, you guys get together and have the conversation together with someone from my team, we can do that too. Right? We're happy to do that with you. If you click the Black Friday thing down here or put that into your browser and go in and instead of selecting the self-paced programs, select the accelerated coaching piece. It'll push that button and you'll apply, you put in your information. We get in contact with you very, very quickly. We're going to make sure you get the resources you need. So there you go. All right. Archeon says, I just took your attachment quiz, says I'm highly disorganized. Archeon, from everything we've talked about, I can understand that. I can understand that, right? That free quiz on my website is a great place to get started for anybody who is looking for that information, right? That is great to begin there. All right, I'm going to scroll back because I think there's some great questions. I got really off on the off tangent a little bit on the married couples, but I just love working with married couples so much. Ryan, my new relationship of 2 months has been successful due to you helping me have a secure attachment. I love that. I'll take Ryan. I'm Adam, but that's okay. Valerie, I'm glad. I'm glad that for 2 months, you guys have been more successful. I hope you're having conversations that can break you up. I tell couples that is your job in the early process of romance, is having conversations that could break you up, but actually bonds you deeper because you learn so much about each other and you learn about real connection, and then you can begin trusting each other. That's how you build the oxytocin and vasopressin bonds that protect against the dopamine cliff that hits at 5 to 7 months. That's how you do that. Rocket fuel, quite disorganized and loud after destruction. From a narcissist. That will flip you largely into a more avoidant state where you will erase, but it might kick on a little bit of fight in you because it's a trauma. It's a trauma response. Healing for 9 years. Single just met someone who's now showing he's some sort of avoidant. I'd been feeling secure, but now see myself in old habits. Biggest thing you've got to do is sit down and just have gentle but direct conversations. Hey, I notice that sometimes you pull away after we have conversations, and I want you to know that's okay. The only thing I need from you is to understand what's happening. Give me a heads up. If you can let me know, then you can take the space that you need. but I do need you to let me know so that I'm not over here freaking out, wondering if you've been abducted or if you've somehow escaped to Antarctica. So could you please give me a heads up? I'll be peaceful. Trust me enough to give me a heads up. If you can't trust me, we're probably not going to have a relationship. Being able to have that level of a conversation with somebody, that gently, that firmly, and that directly, incredibly important, right? That's the process of having secure attachment, but also building a secure bond. In my video course, How to Build a Secure Marriage, you might even want to pick that up as a resource. In there, I talk about how crucially important it is to understand that two insecurely attached people can have a secure relationship. It's the process of building the relationship that actually can help each of you transform yourself to be more secure through the experience you share. But you don't have to be securely attached to build a secure connection, because the secure connection is done through secure behaviors. The relationship is a third-party entity each of you is caring for, and you can make it a secure pathway. The relationship is not the feelings you have for each other, in other words, if that makes sense. Guys, does that make sense? Give me a yes in chat if that concept makes sense to you. Most people think a relationship is the feelings you give each other. I say it's a third-party entity you are each equally responsible for protecting, nurturing, and growing. Does that make sense? Because now you can have a secure relationship even if you are not secure. That's the target. Arkin, Adam, I want to be the future husband and father my future family needs. Can living with autism affect attachment? I do have quite a few clients who have autistic features. Often what it does is limit your understanding of what other people want from you, quite often. And then it often is difficult for that person to ask questions. So usually clients who have autistic features need a lot more scripts from me. How do I phrase things? What is expected of me? What are some blueprints I can follow? What are some exact roadmaps toward a relationship? What is okay to ask and what's not okay to ask? And what's the context? They need a lot of that hands-on manual training, usually relationship education. Happy to provide that. That's generally the piece, right? And if you can get to a place where you can start asking people what they want, that actually benefits you even more. Strangely enough, I've almost never, ever seen a client with autistic features have an affair, because an affair wouldn't be logical. Strangely enough. I'm not saying it never happens, but very rarely. Hi, Adam. Is it possible for quiet disorganized to renew novelty dopamine in a long-term romantic relationship? It is. Novelty dopamine, not with the partner typically, but with the experiences you have around it. Dopamine's not bad, and you can grow novelty dopamine. This is what we call spicing up the relationship, right? Novelty dopamine is like acts and activities and vacations and things you do to kind of like bring life back into it. But remember that you're supposed to have oxytocin, GABA, vasopressin, and serotonin plus dopamine balanced against cortisol. With quiet disorganized, your cortisol is flooded off the chart, and you don't have oxytocin, GABA, vasopressin, or serotonin. So now you have dopamine, which is constantly wearing out your receptors, and you need new, fresh sources of it, stacked against gigantic flood of cortisol. This is the problem, okay? When you have all of those in balance, now it begins to work. So it's actually the other chemicals the quiet disorganized person needs to have, but they've never really had an oxytocin experience, so they don't know it's available, or a vasopressin bonding experience. They don't know that those are available to them. Adam, my ex-partner's an avoidant attachment. I'm anxious. I hear you, Taya. What is your question here today? How can I help? Rocketfield, he won't talk much at all, so I'm lost. He's also working on himself. Okay. So it's possible he either doesn't know how to talk to you. I'm scrolling back up to yours. He doesn't know how to talk about it. You know what one thing you could do is, again, my down here, Black Friday, my video course, the attachment style decoder course, is built, not only built for men, but largely built for men, especially skeptical men, because it is hard scientific data about what attachment styles are, how they program us, and how to reprogram them. If you could watch that with him, it's a few hours, watch that with him piece by piece and say, there's this video series I'm going through. I'm fascinated by it. I'd love to sit and just kind of talk about it afterward and see what our thoughts are on it, right? Bring it up as a cool date idea, have dinner, enjoy, experience, see if he's open to doing it. Let me do the talking for you. And if you look over and he's frozen, with a piece of pizza like halfway to his mouth, staring at the screens like aghast, you'll realize he's having a moment. Okay. Very likely to happen. Mari, I just saw that I missed your comment a little bit back. What's the best way to introduce attachment styles and all of the trauma responses to your loved ones and your boyfriend? Quite often, to explain how it's impacting you first. The best way to explain attachment is you as an example. You guys have seen me do this before, right? I grew up with insecure attachment. I lived this. I couldn't talk to my family and friends. I couldn't connect to the people around me. I didn't know how to build a loving bond with others that felt safe to me. I was pleasing others. I was trying to take care of them. And inside, I was lonely. I hated this. And I decided to do everything different that I'd never done before, right? That's an easy way to pitch that story to you guys, right? So you can begin saying, wow, I have some of the experiences this guy had. This kind of sounds like me. I wonder what he did to fix it. Well, I did everything that I didn't do before. I started talking to people more openly. When I was afraid, I would make myself say the thing. I would open up and have boundaries and experiences. And then I started sorting people out based on who responded well to the new patterns and who didn't. And then as I built more fulfilling relationships, I was safer opening up and sharing more data. And then I could solve problems collaborating with other people. And then I liked it and they did too. And I found a different internal experience, even biochemically. My brain and my body felt different and it felt incredible. And suddenly I was, in a good way, addicted to the new pattern of living. So my brain wanted to do it, and it was easier and easier and easier. And the people around me were having the same experience. This is how I discovered the reality of secure attachment. And you're sitting there, if you're telling someone this story, your story, wow, I didn't realize I could feel that way. That's incredible. And you've done this work? Like, I kind of like respect a little bit, like, wow, right? And then you say, now I want to show this to other people, and I'd love to share this with you if this is something you're open to. Do you have any of the experiences that I've had? You don't have to even answer right now. Just think about it. But I'd love to build this kind of a relationship with you if you're open to it. And they're like, well, it's a lot to take in, but it sounds interesting. I'd be open to it. What would that look like for us? And you say, well, going forward, we can share our thoughts more easily with each other. We can ask, is it okay if I share something deeper than I normally would? And we have that experience, right? We also can talk about what we need more openly and start building a relationship that's more satisfying to both of us instead of having to guess around each other. Does that sound like something we can do together? And they're like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And then you start practicing it with them. You don't even need to talk about attachment. You need to show them what you've been feeling so they can maybe feel it too. You need to show them how you're changing so they understand you. And then you need to invite them into a better life. All of that, by the way, is exactly what me and my coaches teach you on how to do, especially scripting these conversations with people. That's the piece. There you go. All right. Are there differences between female and male avoidance? Two differences between male and female avoidance. One is that one is female and one is male. And what I mean there is that the female avoidant is biologically burning out by being in the masculine role in her own life continuously. So it is best for her to find a man who is very masculine, but also secure, so she can connect with him and finally come out of that hyperchronic stress state. But she's going to require a very high level of masculinity from a man to allow her to do that, number one. And number two, the sex drives. The sex drive of an avoidant woman is very different from the sex drive of an avoidant man, especially because of the biochemistry, especially the oxytocin pipeline. Many avoidant women prefer to do it facing away and with as little kissing or emotional interaction as possible, which confuses most people who think that women will want the opposite. So there we go. I have to go shovel, but thank you for your content. Helps to do better for yourself, of your life, when it makes more sense. That's it, Patricia. That's the game. I'll try. Baby steps for now. Got it, Rocket. Everybody, I want to make sure you know, Black Friday sales, limited time offer, right? It's almost over this weekend. It has gone very fast. This weekend is almost over down here, adamlanesmith.com/black-friday, okay? Or go on my website, adamlanesmith.com, click the bright orange banner at the top that says Black Friday, up to 60% off on courses, up to 30% off on coaching. My assessments with me and my coaching team, if you don't even want to jump into full coaching, you just want to understand your patterns, have the exact skill trainings and skill roadmap that you need to break free, and the experiences you need to finally change your attachment and transform forever. If you want that, the assessments are also on a very special price, but only for Black Friday. Okay? Only for this window of time. I do not want anyone to miss this. If you've been waiting all year, this is your time. Right down there, adamlanesmith.com/black-friday. Get in there, connect with us immediately. If you have questions first, send me a DM on Instagram. I am at attachmentadam. If you want to email us, support@adamlanesmith.com. If you want to contact me through the website, adamlanesmith.com, contact me. Okay? Go in there, click, find your bundles, get them now, get up to 5 free gifts included. Do not miss this sale. Or next week, and next month, and next year, you'll be saying, why didn't I do it when I had the chance? I don't want anyone to ruin their relationships that way. Can someone buy 2 1-month group coaching sessions? It should be stackable. And if for some reason it's not, send us an email and we should be able to work on that with you. Can divorce of your parents at a young age affect your attachment style? Absolutely, Archeon. 100%. That is very, 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 very common. It almost certainly will affect your attachment style. Almost certainly. I would be shocked somehow if it didn't. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anybody in here. Taya, my avoidant partner refuses to see me because he thinks if we are around each other, we will fight. Is it possible to fix this dynamic through texting? No, because that's all he will give. No. Honestly, no. If you guys are at that level of a cortisol association, no. Now, what I will say often is that an avoidant partner, sometimes, as their cortisol dwindles and as your emotional state calms, that's where they sometimes will open back up. What they're constantly hypervigilantly tracking is your nervous system. Most avoidant partners are freaked out by an anxiously attached partner's nervous system. Your nervous system is his greatest fear because he's afraid you're going to hurt him, betray him, attack him, smother him, engulf him. The calmer you are, the less you signal danger, and the more likely he is to come back and have a conversation. But no, you cannot fix a relationship over text. What you can do is fix your nervous system. That's your greatest tool. And again, down here at the very bottom, Black Friday. If you want to get in fast and do an assessment with me and my team and move on coaching and protect this relationship, we can show you what to do. If you want to get in there and get the How to Love an Avoidant Man video course that shows you the exact proven step-by-step system for helping an avoidant man when he does come back feel safe at home and loving toward you, and then begin to understand your needs, meet your needs, and care for you. This is not a caretaking system or a catering system. This is building a secure relationship with an avoidantly attached man where you are also served and loved and cared for. Okay, very, very important. Toblerone. I struggle feeling connected to others, but I don't know why, because I'm very talkative and freely share personal struggles, listen to their struggles, offer advice, you got quality time. You are not feeling connected to them. I'm wondering if they are reciprocating with you. I'm wondering if you know what vasopressin bonding and oxytocin bonding are. I'm wondering if you know those bonding hormones. I highly recommend that you go in and take my attachment style decoder course, which will show you most likely what is missing for you. Down here in the Black Friday special, click into the self-paced learning programs. The attachment style decoder course should show you what's happening and why you're not bonding correctly. I would highly recommend that while it's on special right now. Jamie, I'm anxious attached, getting more and more secure. Good. He's avoidant, more secure, except in really opening up, but doing so. Love to hear it. There are times I feel emotionally I'm having a hard time processing difficult conversations. I'm hung up the phone. Embarrassing. Interesting. Okay. And I don't want to do this as it's emotionally immature. Okay. What's a better option to say to an avoidant man for me to take a break, but then be able to come back? You need to sit down and not in the moment, because here's what's happening. Your prefrontal cortex, logical, thoughtful, left side brain, I will do this, right? You plan what you're going to do, and then that runs on a 0.5 second cycle. You can do that within 0.5 seconds, a half a second, which sounds nice, except when you get activated, your amygdala hallucinates fear, the fear center of the brain, hallucinates fear at a 340% increased rate. And then in a tenth of a second, 0.1 seconds, 5 times faster, bypasses your prefrontal cortex and your logical brain and decides, we're going to run away. We're going to freak out. We're going to get stressed. We're going to forget language skills. We're going to completely forget everything we planned, and we are going to throw a protest fit. That's what's happening inside your brain. That's why what all your plans you're doing are not working. So first, in advance, you need to plan out with your partner and say, let's make a general rule so that I never hang up again. Let's make a general rule that if things get heated and one of us notices it, we will say, hey, things are feeling hot right now. Can we take 15 minutes to cool down and then come back to this conversation? You set an exact time to separate and an exact time to come back so that no one feels abandoned. Number one, you both can then see each other because your partner who's calmer is probably going to detect it before you do. Again, 0.1 versus 0.5. You're probably not going to detect it in time. They will. They'll see it and hear it. They'll say, hey, are things getting too hot for you right now? And you'll check in. Whoa, yeah, you're right. Thank you. Can we do 20 minutes or even a half hour? Yeah, no problem. Good. Okay, thank you. Right? And then in the moment you can say, I'm really feeling overwhelmed right now. It's not you, it's the situation. I need like 20 minutes. Can I call you back in 20 minutes? And then you do some physical calming nervous system resets. Okay. That right there is how you protect a relationship from damage. And that's also how you begin vasopressin bonding, by solving this problem together as a couple, instead of each one of you saying, I have to do it. I have to do it myself. I have to do it myself. Doing it together as a couple, feeling safe, feeling bonded. So there we go. That's the process. All right, guys, that is the end of my live stream here today. Thank you for all of your questions. Come back to the next one. I will be streaming tomorrow. Let me double check when I'm coming back tomorrow, so I can give you the exact time. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time, I will be here. I will be glad to have another conversation with you then. Let's talk about more attachment there, okay? Here's what I need from you guys. Number one, everything you have learned here today. It's not enough to think about it, okay? Again, as we've established, your logical left side brain and your prefrontal cortex go offline. Thinking about it and knowledge, I'm not going to say it's useless, but it will not help you make change. You need to take some actions. If that means having a different conversation with somebody, opening up to somebody about what you're having and experiencing, hiring a coach or a mentor, or making some next steps with somebody that you should have taken long ago, right? Do something that transforms you. Now, if you need deeper knowledge and resources to then begin making those steps, all of my courses are up to 60% off right now with up to 5 free gifts. Okay. Number one, for Black Friday, don't miss that. Number two, if you want to do this fast, you are tired of the pathways of being reworn in your brain over and over and over with every cycle. You're tired of wrecking your relationships. You're tired of giving in. You're tired of feeling embarrassed and ashamed and sad, right? If you're done, pick up an assessment and or a coaching package with me and my team, whether you're single or in a relationship, but individual or together as a couple. Any of those are fine. Pick up an assessment, also on very special price, at up to 30% off coaching with me and my my team for this sale. Okay, me and my coaching team. I do not want anyone to feel left behind when Black Friday sales close out. That's why I'm making this extended right now through the weekend. That's why I'm making sure that you know right now, it's not just Black Friday, right? It's Sunday now. I'm trying to make this as accessible as possible for everybody. Pick them up now before they close. This is your time. This is your time. Or you will go another year saying, why is my relationship hurting me? Why am I so sad? Why am I so lonely? Why didn't I do it? Okay. That is not to scare you. I really don't want you to live that way. Okay. So Black Friday specials down here at the very bottom. I implore you to at least take a look and see which options are going to be best for you. And as you add them up, you'll see the bundle go up. You'll see the savings go up. You'll see the gifts go up. Then you select your gifts and roll straight in. Take care of yourselves, guys. I will see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. I'll be back. You take care of yourselves.